What's up, rockers?
I'm Kaz.
And I'm Shay, and welcome to another episode of For the Record with Kaz and Shay. Kaz, how you doing?
I am doing so good today.
Yeah, you just got back from a couple of days, a little relaxation with your buddy Pat and Gonzo.
Yeah.
God, you're rested. You look good.
Felt good to put my foot up and relax it on 300-acre ranch in Darrington, Washington.
That seems a little small. Only 300 acres?
Oh, and it butts right up to Whitehorse Mountain. It's the most beautiful thing you'd ever see.
Yeah.
And it was weird. We brought a little portable record player up there and brought some vinyl. Man, it was just great. It was relaxing.
Good time.
It was. I
So-
hobbled around just fine.
Yeah.
Oh.
We love shopping for records.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and then sometimes when you're shopping for records, you see an album cover like, holy shit, I don't know who this band is, but that looks like a great album, right?
Right. And then sometimes you see an album cover, you're like, what the hell is this? And it's like, cool.
Yeah.
Never judge a book by the cover.
Never judge a book by its cover. So this album is going to be, this is not an album, this is an episode. This episode
An episode
is all
about album covers.
our favorite album covers in our collection, right?
Right.
So I brought 7 albums that I really think have unique or great covers or funny covers or whatever.
Right.
Iconic covers.
Right.
So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to show them, and then
We'll talk a little about them.
but you, as the excellent, amazing photographer, you've been fortunate enough to have your photos be on a few album covers. What have you done?
Yeah. So I have done a few, and I've got a real big one coming out with the Dwarves.
Oh,
Eventually. I can't leak anything about that, but I've done the Cutthroat Brothers debut album cover. I've done a bunch of photo work for Eddie Spaghetti, some album covers
Sean
back
and
in
Xander.
short. Sean and Xander, both their album covers. Nick Oliveri's back cover for his Mondo Generator.
That's awesome. That is
Anti-Scene. Had a lot. It's kind of neat when you like get a record and you're like, oh, my name's on that. I did the photo. And then the Flogging Molly box set. I got
Swagger,
the inside
yeah.
for that. The inside album cover of the live from the Bluebird Theater.
That's awesome.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, as a kid, like I said, I was always putting on a record looking at the cover. That's what the thing that got lost in the 90s with the
CD.
cassette CDs was artwork, was kind of took a backseat to the music. And I always thought, as a kid, they went hand in hand together. Mm-hmm. And, that's I would listen to these same Super X headphones and listen to records. The neighbor kids were older than me in my new neighborhood that I moved into. And they would just give me stacks of albums to listen to. And so, like I said, you would sit, you'd read who produced this. And that's where you learned of people like Mutt Lange and stuff like that. And you would know, like Chrysalis album, record companies and stuff like that. And, Pasha Records and stuff. I still say that Blue Guy, like the Reach the Beach look, Quiet Riot was on that one because you would get the 45s and stuff. And so music had such a visual impact on me just as much as it did audible.
Yeah.
Oh.
So let's start it out. What is the first album that you brought to the party?
And it was a decision. It was going to be either, and these are, like I say, some of our favorite. They're not all of them, but this was the most influential one on me. It could have been this one, or it could have been Destroyer, but the Love Gun album with the girls on it were kind of what made it kind of cool with the Kiss makeup. Kiss album covers were very influential. Even the live with Gene Simmons with all the blood on his face, that scared me as a kid, but I thought it was cool. But I always thought, the Love Gun album by Kiss was one of my favorite album covers, just like their artwork, and they were just such an imposing figure, So, like, my favorite, like, of the Kiss albums, was Love Gun.
Love Gun, yeah. And so on our last episode, I mentioned my Uncle Chris making mixtapes for us.
Right.
And I forgot Kiss's Love Gun was on there. So that was the first time I had heard Kiss and heard Love Gun. In fact, I mentioned that Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be was also on that mixtape. And so Brian and I were in 5th or 6th grade together. Mr. Lombard, what's up, Mr. L? And I wrote a song, sort of pretended that it was my song, and it was a combination of Love Gun and Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be.
Right.
I wish I still had it. It probably would sell 1 million copies because it was just great. But Kiss is amazing. That's a great album. So my first is Rick Springfield, Working Class Dog. I mean, what is that, a bull terrier?
It is a bull terrier.
What, he's going to work. He's got a 9-to-5 job with his shirt and tie there.
Right.
Just a striking image. Like, where's this dog going? Where does he work? Where do you think he works?
It looks like a desk job. He looks like he might be an accountant. I don't know.
Yeah. Did you ever watch the Sound City documentary, right?
Yes.
So good.
And Rick did a lot of the recording
he
there.
was a big part of that documentary, and it was really good. It was really heartfelt, and his relationship with those guys there. This is a great album, by the way. We just did an album or an episode on our favorite albums from the 80s.
Right.
This could have been on there. The song "Love Is All Right Tonight" is one of my favorite songs from the 80s. Rick Springfield, I remember he went on
General Hospital.
Well, yeah, he was a soap opera actor, but he was like on an Oprah episode, and she called him a one-hit wonder, and he got all pissed off. He's got a lot of great songs.
He actually does.
And have you seen him play lately? He's done a lot of stuff with the Foo Fighters and stuff like that, and he plays shirtless. He's cut and ripped. I don't know how old he is, but he looks better than me at his age.
Well, it's funny. Yeah, he's like Billy Squier. He's almost 70. And he looks younger than me.
Yeah, Billy Squier. God, he could have been on there. Ruined his career. What was the song? Dancing in the. What was it? Oh, Rock Me Tonight.
Rock Me Tonight. That's what killed his career. Tearing off the shirt.
Yes. We should do something like that.
You recreate the whole dance.
Yeah.
A shot for
like
shot the whole video.
That would be great. That would be awesome.
It was. Well, when this came out, kind of like at the height of the MTV era, but you always got to give Diamond Dave a 10 for being an entertainer.
Yeah.
And when this came out, I always thought this album cover was just really cool. Like I say, it's like, oh, wow, this was his kind of his solo one. He came out with the Crazy from the Heat, kind of the EP. But his debut album was Eat 'Em and Smile. And I just thought, well, that's Dave. It's just kind of a cool thing. And I always just thought this was a cool album cover.
Give me a bottle of anything and a glazed donut.
And then it always
to go.
Yeah, transferred to his videos. So it's like kind of a lot of, by this era, the album cover would tie in with a video, and that's kind of exactly what this did. And like I said, for some reason, I always thought this was a cool album cover with Dave just with all that warrior paint.
Yeah, he looks good.
Yeah, because it's hidden. He'd probably look the same now if he did that same getup.
Yeah,
it'd hide it.
Yeah, Dave, and he was a rock god.
He was.
He's not a rock god anymore.
No, but he was. I mean, that's like, he was amazing.
He was amazing. My next album is The Descendants. Milo Goes to College, and this caricature. Can you say that?
Caricature
of Milo has been featured on 5 of their 7 albums, and it's just iconic. And anytime that they do something, they'll do some sort of play on this character doing something, and it just sort of is like, you see that and you're like, oh, it's the Descendants.
Because that's like that album, because Milo went to college to become like a genius at something. Molecular biologist or something.
Are you a genius at anything? Tell me right now.
I don't know. It doesn't make me money of the things I know, knowledge.
Uh-huh.
I wish I made money off my knowledge that I can store that's useless.
Yeah.
Anything important in life, I can't retain it.
No?
No.
Okay. Well, that's our failure.
Uh-huh.
That's our failure. It's not too late. We can do a lot of things.
Right.
Smart
people wouldn't watch a game show on the answers that you and I would know.
No.
Right. They'd ridicule us.
We need game shows. There needs to be a good rock and roll trivia game show. I think they used to have them like on VH1 or MTV, like something like that. We would just kick butt on those.
We would.
Yeah.
We would.
We can start our own.
I got mad. Like last time there was a trivia night, and the question had to do with who was like Rush's drummer for like on their first album, and the guy said Neil Peart. That's correct. I was like, bullshit. He did not drum on that first album.
What? Who was it?
I forget his name, so that's bad of me, but it wasn't, and I was correct.
Okay.
Showed him on the phone.
Wow, look at
I'll
you.
just make a note for next time.
Awesome. Is it my turn or your turn? It's your turn.
It is my turn.
Speaking of Neil Peart.
Yeah, speaking of Rush, this, as a kid, you would try to figure what all of it meant. And like I said, this album came out, and it's like, Rush had cool album covers. I could never figure out what they meant, but it kept me intrigued because I'd have these headphones on. I'd be listening to this album. And then,
is the art going in or out? Are they filling the music?
They're moving the pictures, and then like the stoppage in the filming. And it's like crazy. It's like, don't know what the meaning is of it. You would always try to figure it out because there was no internet back then. There was no way to research that or magazine to find, I mean, back then you had to dig for your information. And Rush would always come out with these album covers that were like, that's kind of cool. Like the one from Picture from 2112's on there. But moving pictures, I thought, like, wow, that's just kind of cool. You could get creative with no point or purpose, and it succeeded back then.
All right, I'm going to ask you a philosophical question.
Yeah.
Would our childhood have been better if we had the internet?
I really, like I said, enjoyed having to figure, like, stuff how you and I like music, how we figured that stuff out for ourselves.
Yeah,
as opposed to at the touch of the finger, it was kind of really neat to know this type of stuff. It made you appreciate it more. And you took more pride in it, knowing that you put some hours into trying to figure out what the Rush album covers were.
Maybe the internet would have been good for us, but I'm glad social media wasn't around in the 80s when we were dumb shits and doing dumb stuff as kids.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I wouldn't want any pictures to cap, all the horrible things we did as children,
I know.
Speaking of children and horrible things, Van Halen's 1984, this little...
Couple packs of Lucky Strikes, sir.
I'm going to use a big word. Is it cherubic? Like a little cherubic?
Yeah.
Child smoking a pack of cigarettes. Now that, you'd see this and like, what the hell is going on there? What a great cover. I think they got in a little bit of trouble in certain countries that wouldn't sell it with this cover.
Right.
But, I mean, that's just like, of all the Van Halen, Roth era Van Halen albums, this is the ones that you probably remember the most.
Right.
Yeah. Beautiful head of hair, though.
It is full head.
Yeah, for such a small child. I mean, look at all that wave.
I know, and the wing. I mean, it's like, and that was like so cool. Like I said, bands' creativity really, artists were really involved in musicians back then. And like I said, you went through that phase in the 90s and stuff where that all got lost, especially with like, digital downloads and stuff.
Look at how sexy they're looking on that.
They were cool.
Yeah.
They were. That was good.
Good.
Mine is, there's not a lot of bands out there where, a lot of bands, the lead singer is the main focal. There's certain bands out there where the guitarist is more of the face of the band, like Eddie Van Halen. Well, you had Dave, but no, to me, no band kind of rings true to that as AC/DC with Angus Young. And being a kid, this album cover to me was so cool because like I had these memories of seeing some live footage of AC/DC and stuff. And you'd go to like a shop like International Imports, you'd look at the posters and there'd be the Angus Young with just like his socks, his shoes, his shorts, and his hat. And like, to me, this was like the coolest because it was like, this is Angus Young. Yeah. Power Age had Angus on the front, but I just loved this photo. I just thought it was really cool with the shoes and everything. And this was like that vintage look of Angus. And like I said, for not many bands where the guitarist is, the most visible person in it, of that, like Angus Young to me.
You've got a signature on that album. Jamie, what's it say?
Hanseth, I don't know. I must have bought that used.
Your old girlfriend, maybe?
No. Probably bought that used somewhere.
Well, read the name and say if this is your album.
Jamie Hanseth.
Jamie Hanseth.
See, now here's where the internet could
Yeah. If you
beneficial.
can find Jamie Hanseth, let her know. Get in touch with For the Record. And
I have one of her old records at one point in her life.
yeah.
Oh, all right. What do you got next?
So this is an album from a dear sweetheart of a man, a friend of both Kaz and I, legendary Nick Oliveri. He has a series of albums. I think there's 7, no hits at all. It features, him, on songs that he's either sung or done guest vocals on. And they always tell such a stories. There's a lot of stuff going on in this.
Yes.
I'm going to put it in front of me so I can tell you all the things. There's this guy riding a motorcycle. We got tanks. Those aren't
Cheerleaders,
tanks.
biplanes, dice.
Guns. Yeah, biplanes, skulls.
All of it, brass knuckles.
rock
Hand grenades,
and roll.
money.
Yeah.
It's everything. A skull.
Did you say dynamite? Did you say that yet?
Yeah, look at the explosions.
What is that? Grenade,
Hand grenade.
money. What's on? Yeah, it's just these are just so cool to look at. I have 2 of this series. How many do you have?
Yeah, I've got 2 of them also. And the whole series is kind of the similar artwork. And it's really cool. It kind of brings me back to that cool, like Pam Grier, like coffee
Yeah, it's like
era.
a 70s action movie or blaxploitation
exactly.
movies. Yeah.
And it's just the artwork's just really cool because it's like all those album covers. You sit and you look at them. It's like, God, they're really cool. And that's what I do love about the vinyl comeback that's been going on for I don't know how many years. We can't really call it a comeback anymore, but
It's here to stay, baby.
like I say, like there's some recent album covers that are just like, oh, that's so cool, and that's what I just really love about it. Like I said, growing up for me as a kid, my neighbors would give me their albums that they didn't really listen to anymore. It was kind of like baseball cards or whatnot. And judging a book by the cover, like you say, is kind of like the best album cover doesn't always win. And I mean, like I say, I know this guy has, not been the greatest speaker of the
Oh, you're
last
going
few
on
years.
to your next album.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the neighbors, rightfully so, they gave me this Ted Nugent Weekend Warriors album, and it really didn't have any good songs. I remember the neighbor giving me, he goes, I wanted to borrow this one. He's like, no, but you want to hear Double Live Gonzo. I thought this was the better album because it's an album cover. And like I said, we all know what Ted Nugent is, but, he was great. I mean, his music was great. Like I say, what comes out of his mouth nowadays is, But this album cover where the guitar turns into a gun, I just like, it's so cool to me. And like how they did kind of the drawings and stuff and like the artwork. But this, like, I saw this album cover and that to me was rock and roll back in the day.
And I like the font or whatever
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah. I mean,
It is. I mean, kind of the same artwork look as like AC/DC's High Voltage, but this album cover was like one where, as a kid, I said, I want to take photos of rock stars. Yeah. And this is one, like I say, it's may not be my favorite album to listen to, and it's like I'd never listened to it, but the only reason I actually hang on to this album is because it was one that a neighbor had given to me when I was young, and the album cover was really influential on me.
Your neighbor wasn't Jamie Hansen?
No, it was Steve Kingsley.
Oh, Steve. Hi, Steve.
Yeah.
Is he
passed
still
away.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry. I don't think I knew Steve, but rest
Yeah.
in peace, Steve. I miss you.
Yep. Yeah, he gave me a lot of albums as a kid, the Kiss albums and stuff. But
Well, that's pretty cool. Hey,
Yeah.
I don't want this album anymore. Here you go.
yeah, that's right. Because I was a young kid. There was no kids my age in my neighborhood at the time. They were all older, so he was a cool one that would give me all Pat Travers, but his album covers were But everybody listened to Boom Boom Out Goes Lights.
Yeah,
that was a
for
good
sure.
song. So what do you got next?
Well, I think the picture, alone makes this one of the most iconic album covers of all times.
Right.
The debut of Rage Against the Machine. So it features, as you can see, it features a monk that's self-immolation, I think that you call when you set yourself on fire. You know, some protest.
And how he remained so calm during it.
Yeah. and just like
do you ever see the real footage of it?
oh yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah. And so this was like 1963 in Vietnam. I think they were protesting the treatment of monks at the time. But this is just like what a picture, and why they decided to use this on their album cover, I don't know. Right. But it's just iconic, and this is just like what an image. It is. It's sad and like all that. I mean, it's just you don't often see a person on fire like this.
Right.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to do it.
No.
Probably hurt, but
yeah,
I think he got into a zone or whatever, and like
walking on coals. Yeah. Some people can do it.
You ever done it?
No.
Not set yourself on fire, but walk on coals.
No.
You haven't done like a Richard Pryor sort of a thing?
No.
No, okay.
No. No.
All right.
This one here was obviously kind of an iconic one. This was the Beastie Boys debut. And like where John was talking earlier, like without the internet back then, we figured things out more. Like a lot of people did not realize, like, oh, you open it up and it's like the full plane crash. But then like what a lot of people didn't know, and you did it once word of mouth got out and everyone tells a story, is the airplane number, when you read it backwards, said, "Eat me."
Clever.
It was clever for its time, if you did not know that. It is, and like I said, that was kind of, like I said, one of the cool albums when back then we had it on cassette. You would open it up, and it's like, oh, cool. And that was like the first time you made sure you had opened up the album in its entirety.
Show the inside of the gatefold. It's a picture of the band.
And
right?
they're so young. Look at those kids. But yeah, this was the cover. Great album. Nothing fancy, but it was just definitely a cool album cover.
Yeah, well, speaking of nothing fancy, I'm not sure why I like this album so much. Eagles of Death Metal, Death by Sexy. I think on my tombstone, I'm going to put Death by Sexy.
Yeah.
But I just like that. I don't know. Can I pose like that with, yeah, I can do it.
Kind of like Loverboy's Get Lucky album cover, with the red leather pants.
Uh-huh.
But yeah.
God, red leather pants. That would look nice for Christmas.
On who?
Us.
No.
With like a really nice shoulder padded Christmas sweater. Huh?
Mm-hmm. We're going back. We did the 80s episode last one.
Okay. But we could have an entire episode dedicated to fashion, leather, just mostly leather.
Who wear it best?
Yeah.
Udo Dirkschneider, except.
Why didn't you have one of his albums on here, Balls to the Wall?
Well, I have the album, but it didn't make my cut for this one.
Okay.
But it is kind of a funny album.
So, yeah. Funny song. Great song.
I know. Mm-hmm. It was. What do I have? Oh, and this guy had great album covers. Joe Walsh. There Goes the Neighborhood. And I just loved, like, such a cool, like, that they actually had a setup for this whole album cover to bring in a tank, put garbage around it, use LA as a backdrop, whatever.
What's that, a Sherman?
Yeah. It's awesome.
Sherman tanks. What's your favorite tank, Brian?
That's probably the Shermanator. Yeah. But, Joe Walsh had so many cool album covers, and like I said, this wasn't his best album. But, the album cover is just very cool. It just kind of catches your attention. It's like, oh, it's kind of rad.
Yeah.
And it just fits Joe Walsh's personality.
Yeah, he's still getting it done. He just had that big Vets Aid concert.
He's awesome.
I think he's going to continue playing with the James Gang again, and I
need to see that.
That would be killer, yeah.
That's a bucket list. They did it, I think in 2008. They did a few shows, and I didn't get a chance to see any of them. I was bummed out about that. But, man, if the James Gang rides again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, why did Russell Wilson steal that from Joe Walsh?
I don't know. I mean, it's a good line, right?
Yeah, Joe Walsh needs to take that back over.
Yeah, I think he should.
Yeah, we need to start a petition.
What would the hashtag be? Give Joe Walsh
the real rides again.
Okay, yeah.
Joe Walsh, the original rides again.
Yeah,
not Russell Wilson.
Come on, don't hate on Russell Wilson. You loved him when he was here. Yeah. Wow, that Russell Wilson. I can't even say it. Russell Wilson really brought the show to a grinding halt.
Yeah.
Let's not mention him on a show again.
No, okay, yeah, Joe Walsh, though. Joe Walsh.
The only way to rescue this part of the show is to bring up my last album, okay?
Yeah, what do you got? Oh, yeah. I know what this one is. And do I need to, like, speak a disclaimer about this?
I mean, if you have...
I had no influence on his selections. I had mine. He had his.
If you have a problem with a picture of a man maybe making sweet love to an animal, I don't know what you describe this, but, I mean, there's all sorts of relationships out in the world. And so this
tongue-in-cheek, though. It's no effects.
It's no effects. And you know, no effects, along with another favorite band of ours, the Dwarves, they mix so much amazing music with humor.
Yes.
It's all humor, all done in good fun. This is their album, Heavy Petting Zoo. So the subject of our album seems to be in a very romantic, very risque embrace with a sheep. You know, that's what it is.
That's a bad album cover.
Yeah. So this album kind of actually has two titles, you know, on CDs and stuff. It's called Heavy Petting Zoo Heavy Petting Zoo, and then on this album it says Eating Lamb. You know, on the back, you know, after he has his embrace, then he's eating the lamb there. So please, no hate mail. We don't support bestiality in any way, but this album is killer. It's so good as all NoFX albums are. And it's just, you know, it's just...
Music pushes the envelope. Like you say, you can... Dwarves album covers that push the envelope. I
think there's one right back there.
There's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's kind of what it is.
It's what it is. In fact, you know, you were just on a little trip. You took a getaway, and then you took a really cool picture of that Pat's bull. Right?
Yeah. So if anyone wants to buy that for an album cover,
we should put it
call
up.
me.
Put it right here.
Put my cool new photo up and make a cool album cover. That's what I do.
That's what you do.
I make musicians look cool.
Yeah, you do. You know, if you should take more pictures of me, because then I would look good. I mean, I need professional quality pictures with lighting and all this stuff. You know.
Yeah.
Let's set up a photo shoot. Maybe in those red leather pants that we talked about earlier. Maybe my Christmas card.
You want to recreate a spoof of an album cover?
This one?
No. We can do the Lover Boy.
Okay. All right. Let's think about that. But
yeah.
I think that, again, if you're bothered by this, you know, let us know. We mean no harm. It's all done in good fun. But I tell you what,
it's not our album.
It's not our. We didn't make it. We didn't make it. You know, so
it's out there.
It's out there. It's way out there.
It's out there. There's a lot worse than that. Believe it or not. Though.
Yeah.
There is. You know, like I say, if you have to have a sense of humor. You know.
What an episode, Kaz.
That was good.
Yeah. Let's wrap her up.
I'm Kaz.
You're not a petrified Kaz? You're just regular old
Still
Kaz?
Petrified. Still, you know.
Still a little shook?
Yeah.
Well, he's Kaz. I'm Shay. Thanks for watching another episode of For the Record with Kaz and Shay. Thank you, Kelsie, for all the great help that you've done. If you have a crazy album cover that we missed, let us know. Like and subscribe. Do all that stuff. Are you going to be able to sleep tonight after you saw that album?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a couple hours at least.
All right. Does Pat have any sheep?
No.
We'll talk about it in another episode. See you later. Bye.
Thank you.